What is up, everybody? Or Cunnis a Tatu, if you wanted to be Irish. There you go. There's a little Irish lesson for you both at the very start.
What was the word?
Cunnis a Tatu. It means how are
Oh,
you?
I thought you said Hakuna Matata. Do you know the one off the Lion King?
No matter
I
what
honestly
you do the
did.
rest of your life.
Sounds similar. But hey, listen, you learn something new every day, don't you? You learn something new every fucking day.
Who would have thought the Irish language was so close to, was it the Jungle
Lionese.
Book? Is it Hakuna Matata from the Jungle Book?
Probably. No, it's from the Lion King.
Lion King.
That's why I said Lionese.
Oh, I don't know. I'm fairly sure it's from the Jungle Book.
No.
Oh, no. Oh, no, Craig. Do you want to bet?
Oh, I don't know. I'm pretty confident it was around before the Lion King.
We'll bet.
Go on then. What we saying? What
Here we go. Let's start an argument. What did it take? 54 seconds and we're in the first round.
And we're arguing about it. Hakuna Matata and where it's from. Brilliant.
Yeah, all because I started off the stream by saying Cunnis a Tatu, which means how are you in Irish. There you go. That's one of the few things. RSH Alex Lion things. Don't bet Craig, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Like I'm still saying it was in Jungle Book. I don't care.
You've got to have a safe room.
I don't care. It's the Jungle Book. I'm not allowed to be wrong.
Thou shalt not be wrong ever, you pussies.
So we all agreed that it's the Jungle Book. Right, we move on. Do you know what else we can agree on, folks?
What else can we agree on?
You know where I'm going with this.
Of course.
We can agree that this Christmas we all want shaved, bald. We all want 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. We all want. Imagine, James. Imagine a scenario where you wake up on Christmas Day, mate, and you don't have a shower gel infused with sea salt.
I'd be fuming.
I mean, Christmas out the window. Gone.
I'd be fuming. It ruined me Christmas. No matter how good the Christmas dinner is, no matter how good the presents are, no matter how much I enjoy the socks and boxes that I'm going to be receiving when it comes to the 25th, you're damn right. If I do not have that product within my bathroom, then I'm fucked.
Absolutely. There's no point in even having. Jesus would have been absolutely fuming if he woke
100%.
up on Christmas morning. Well, he's probably quite happy waking up Christmas morning, but he woke up and there was no Manscaped.
Wasn't he born on Christmas morning, Craig?
I mean, I'm talking about
sure
the
capable of feeling.
Jesus here, Chris. I'm talking not the real Jesus. I'm talking about the BG's version of Jesus that we have in the 21st century. You know, this groomed to within an inch of his life, 6-pack metrosexual Jesus. That's the type of Jesus that I reckon uses Manscaped.
My G Jesus.
100%.
And Jesus wouldn't want to pay full price, Chris. He'd be fuming if he had to pay full price.
Mate, imagine Jesus.
Do you know a way he could get away with not paying full price?
Do you know what? I think Jesus, the way that, if I could recommend Jesus a way to not pay full price, then just simply go to the manscaped.com and then also type in WFM20, which means we are fucking massive, and that will, as I have already said, give you 20% off of all your products. All due to Anfield's agenda.
It certainly does.
And free shipping. Who wants to pay for shipping? You don't want to pay.
No one wants to pay for shipping. Shipping's bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. WFM20, 20% off and free shipping. It's what Jesus would do. There you go. Who would have thought I could have brought Jesus into this?
Shout out my man Jesus.
There you go. Jesus knows that it's the Jungle
Jesus
Book.
knows the score, lad. Jesus is on the Manscaped
He's
train.
up there now going, it's the Jungle Book. Don't mind all these Lion King answers. It's the Jungle Book, Craig. You're never
He's hollering Hakuna Matata all the way to the friggin' manscaped.com. You're too right.
You know who else was singing that? Mohamed Salah, when he banged that penalty in bottom corner, James.
What a brilliant penalty, by the way. What a brilliant penalty, by the way. Oh, my goodness. He never fails to amaze me, you know. Even just this all-round game, people don't put him up there with the top penalty takers of all time, which it's just because it's Mohamed Salah, but I am running out of words for that player. It's week in, week out, and it's 14 consecutive goal contributions? Unbelievable. Which is one behind the longest reign in the league, which is Jamie Vardy. 15 goal contributions consecutively. I am astounded by him week in, week out. He is unbelievable. And the way he even he doesn't always have the 10 out of 10 performance that we used to seeing from Mo Salah this season. There's games where the team isn't quite as fluid, and that will impact Mo Salah, but he's still there in the moment. He's still there in the 94th minute to pass the ball to Origi. He's still there to take that penalty, step up, no matter how good Martinez has been this season, last season, the one before. No matter how good Mendy was against Chelsea, no matter how good Jan Ogblack is with Atletico Madrid, he still steps up and he still finishes it in the dying moments. These are clutch moments, and people don't put a Salah or associate Salah with a clutch moments player, but that is all he has been since he's joined the club. And then he does it in the smaller games, which those smaller games are the ones that ends up getting you league titles. And I feel like that's the difference between Mo Salah right now and the rest of the players in the world. And, you know, the only ones who can talk to him, Lewandowski and maybe Benzema, but where you will tell who has been the best player in the world this season is when it gets to the big games, and I don't think there's a better, bigger game player besides Divock Origi in world football than Mohamed Salah.
Can I make an admission here, Chris? And I don't like to admit this. I can't not admit it because it was on the watch-along, but I was really nervous. I don't know. I think I get to the point where I'm thinking, right, he scored so many in a row. He's got to miss one eventually, but how dare I? How dare I doubt that man?
How dare you, mate? It's been since 2017 or 18 against Huddersfield, I remember. I was actually at that game. Jonas Lossell saved the penalty. He's just brilliant. I don't understand. It's very fashionable nowadays to have these sort of tippy-tappy run-ups, shall we say, the Paul Pogbas of this world. Mo Salah just runs up and blasts it, and no one can save it. No one on this planet can save it. I was nervous. I was hiding behind my bed, but in my head, I was like, Mo Salah is scoring this penalty. There is not a chance in the world that he wouldn't. And as you mentioned, like big game moments, clutch moments, Mo Salah always turns up, and he always does for Liverpool. So, you know, I was absolutely buzzing when that goal went in on the weekend. So, up the Reds.
Mo Salah's missed like 2 of 40 penalties taken at Liverpool. He's unreal.
Ridiculous.
He's unreal. Honestly.
Better than Gerrard.
He used to just blast them down the middle and stuff in the early days. He was a bit less precise with them, particularly the one in the Champions League final. That really put the shits up me when he was running up at that one. I'm all right.
Unbelievable, lad.
It was a weekend, the penalties, James, wasn't it, in the Premier League? I mean, nearly every major game in it had a penalty or two involved in it and decided games.
Yeah, and even as you mentioned there about the way Mohamed Salah takes his penalties, I prefer someone who just goes up and whacks it. As long as you can get that ball on target. If you get it on target and you whack it at the goalkeeper at one of the ends, you therefore increase your chances. Because if you just go with one of the nice placement shots that a Jorginho will do or Pogba, if you go the right way, you've got a good chance of saving that because you'll have time to read where the shots is going. You'll have time to read where to place your hands.
I'll give you the exact number if you want. I remember sitting there. This is going to be like me flexing a little bit, but it's not. I remember sitting down with Vladimir Smicer, and we were talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
And he said to me that when they were drilling, they were told there's an 80% chance of scoring the penalty if you go shoulder height or above either side of the keeper.
Yeah.
Which is
but even just putting the ball through it, opposed to just placing it. If you can get it on target, you significantly increase your chances, and that's why I love the fact Mo Salah. Because if he just places that, there's a good chance the keeper can get to it. Martinez made himself big for that penalty, but he put so much pace, so much power, so much velocity on that penalty. There was no chance, no matter what way he went. Put 2 goalkeepers in there, and they'll struggle saving that penalty. So it's unbelievable, as I mentioned, or as you've mentioned, Craig, that the precision with so much power is unbelievable from Mo Salah.
Sorry, I was reading that.
This is a flex.
I don't consider Vladimir Smicer a flex. If I was sitting with Stevie G, that'd be a flex for me. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be able to have a flex.
I'll flex on chilling with Stevie.
My busy mate.
Look, there's loads I want to get through in this stream, lads. I want to talk about the transfer window that's coming up. I mean, we had a belter stream the other day with Chris and the guys from the transfer room, which went down really well. But there's a few things that came out today, and I want to start with Divock, if that's okay, gents.
Absolutely
a report
fine.
coming out of Tutto Mercado, which, you know, I will take with a massive pinch of salt, Chris, but it said AC Milan have added Divock Origi to a list of potential targets as the long-term replacement for Zlatan Ibrahimovic, although they face competition from Atalanta for the Belgian forward. What say you, Mr. Stonadge?
What say me? As I say, in terms of reliability, it's an absolute, you know, you take it with a pinch of salt. It's not reliable at all to Mercato. But in terms of, like, realisticness, Origi to AC Milan or Atalanta, I'd say that's sort of his level.
They love him at Atalanta, mate. They love him there.
They would, 100%. And the fact is, he will never start for Liverpool. How much any of us want it, how much any of us, you know, have seen him go on those hot streaks that he does. And I feel like he's in that hot streak at the moment. But if he does get sold to Atalanta or to AC Milan, who's going to complain? definitely not Divock Origi. He's getting more football, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Possibly.
What would the number be for you, James? If Liverpool and look, let's start the conversation by saying he's only getting sold if we have a replacement lined up. He's not going to just get sold if we don't bring anyone in. So what's the number for you, James, that you think will be a fair market value?
I think you start at 20, especially with the hot form that he's in at the moment. I mean, maybe some people could try and push more, but I think you're pushing it with the fact he's never really been a regular starter. He's not one who's proven he can get 10, 20 goals, but he is a big game player, and he's at a big club. So when you look at other big players for previous clubs that go to another team, when you think about how we know that he would suit the Italian league, because I think there's no league in world football that, or in terms of out of all the top divisions, that would suit Origi more than that league right there. If us knowing that should then therefore start at a 20, and then I think we shouldn't go any lower than 15, because honestly for Origi, even though I'd love to ask for 40, 50, and I'd rather keep him than get 20 because I think he's a valuable asset to the squad, if you were going to sell him, you'd want to get every last penny you could, and with all them factors put into consideration, I'd go with that.
I think that's a fair value. I mean, what does 20 million buy you with regards to forwards these days, Chris? Because
Exactly.
I mean, we see Vlahovic, we see Adeyemi, all these players, mate, and we're talking 60, 70, 80. So I think it's a fair shout what James has said. 20 million.
If Origi was younger, I'd go with more, but he is supposed to be in the prime of his career, so it would be ludicrous of me to assume we'd get more than that.
Yeah, and I think before this run of form, we'd have all taken 20 million for him, right? I'd have shook your hand firmly for Divock Origi for 20 million in the summer. In fact, I'd have been saying you'd have been absolutely we'd have robbed you for 20 million in the summer if Divock Origi had been sold then. But no, I personally think he's a valuable asset purely because he knows where he's at in this Liverpool squad. He's not potentially pushing as much as like a Jota, for example, for a first team place. Honestly, you know what? I'd say he'd be worth, to this Liverpool squad at the moment, probably 30 plus. Purely because of the form that he's in. If you rewind it back 6 months, he's more like 10 or 15. But because of the form that he's in, probably 30 you could get for him right now. And I don't know whether Atalanta or AC Milan would pay that.
Here's you know exactly what they're going to do. They're both going to look for a loan with an option to buy. Origi has genuinely played well, said Harry Evans. Before, I used to dread him coming on, but now he's begun to play, getting in better positions. I tell you what, James, this is how confident I was in Divock Origi the other day. I said he was scoring the winner when he came on against Wolves. I just
Water's wet. Water's wet, the sky is blue.
We throw the word clutch around a lot. And by the way, somebody took a bit of offense to us using the word clutch. Like, how dare that Americanization come into football? I don't care. I'm having it. It's the one Americanization I love. I think it sums them up perfectly.
They like to take a lot of our shit, so I'm not really too asked. They like to take our names for sports and shit like that, so I'm not too bothered about all that business. Origi, I'd like to ask you a question about Origi. Would you rather take 20 million or would you rather keep him? Because if you ask me, I'm keeping him. I think we have 100%. More benefit of having someone who's wanting to be a backup striker opposed to getting 20 million to try and get someone else who's just going to be pushing for the first team. And if they don't get there, honestly, they'll be upset and
I'd like to know who that other person is before I answer the question.
Yeah, I don't think
we don't know. We don't know.
I don't think you signed someone for 20 million in 2021 who has as much impact as Origi's had this season. Personally.
Exactly. So that's why, Chris, because impact, yes, but future and really pushing the front three, no.
But Craig, I'd love to ask you an example. Like, who do you think we could sign for 20 million?
That's why I said I'd need to know who it is before I could answer. Because
But the thing is, you can't come up with an answer because there's no one right now that you're getting for that money that Origi, or that will offer the service that Origi would, at least not in my opinion.
Oh, you're certainly not getting somebody with the finishing caliber of Divock Origi. I would absolutely agree with you on that. But the question for me would be, look, this January's an awful time, I suppose, because we're looking for somebody who can immediately come in and do something. Whereas usually my mind will go, okay, 20 million might get us somebody who is a year and a half away, something like that. But we need somebody for now. So I guess the answer to the question that James has asked would be no. I wouldn't take it.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose to try and help sway your answer, even though I'm sticking with wanting to keep Origi, you could put that 20 million into another transfer. So whatever money you have saved up over the transfer windows with the lack of spending, add 20 million to that, and then you can turn 40 million into 60 million for Rafinha if you sell Origi. So maybe that's a possibility as well, instead of just going like for like and doing 20 for 20.
Well, we've got what? 15 million from prize money from winning every group stage game of the
Well,
Champions League.
15 million from that. We made profit in the summer as well in terms of how much we sold compared to what we bought in. So you're already looking at a good chunk of change to where if you add 20 million to that from Divock Origi, it significantly improves your wage budget, or not your wage budget, your transfer budget to go out and get someone like a Rafinha who we've been linked with.
Well, let me double down a little bit. So, again, take this with a pinch of salt. This comes from Duncan Castles. When I think of Duncan Castles, I think of somebody who's very, 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 very much still up Jose Mourinho's rear end. That's what I think of when I think of Duncan Castles, massive Manchester United fan, and somebody who I personally don't really listen to. But there is a quote from him on the Transfer Room podcast, or at Transfer Podcast, that said Liverpool wants a top quality, quick forward, and maybe reinforcement in midfield in January. If there is a party interested in signing Divock Origi at the right price, Liverpool will look to get a centre forward of this type. What say you there, Chris? Because look, I know we'll say Duncan Castles, but the point he's making probably has some sense to it.
It does have some sense to it, but I could tell you that, Craig. Like, it's not
Absolutely.
exactly...
You could, and I will believe you more so.
Exactly. I could tell you that. James could tell you that. A bloke on the street could tell you that. It's not exactly a difficult assessment to make on this Liverpool squad. Yes, they could potentially use a midfielder. Yes, they could potentially use a quick forward. And yes, potentially they could listen to an offer for Divock Origi. It's pretty much like stating the obvious there. I don't really quite understand how he's got even a headline out of that.
It's called sitting on the fence, mate, playing both sides of the market and getting your name out there. That's all he's done there. He's no information, but he's just stating the bleeding obvious, as we say over here in Ireland. Would you agree on that, James? That's a little bit of stating the bleeding J's is obvious.
I would say, yeah, you're obviously stating the obvious, of course. Origi's been linked away from the club for a while now. It's just, he's had a few things that have got in the way of him actually being able to leave, certain injuries, loan moves that never really worked out. So, there is things there to suggest he won't be a guaranteed good clutch player for you. Maybe he's only a clutch player for a great side like Liverpool. Maybe he's not. We won't know until he leaves. But as of right now, here, in this moment, I'd rather keep Origi. I think we benefit more.
Absolutely. As an option for somebody, I can see why a lot of clubs would look at him. I can see
100%.
why.
Especially now with a hot shit of form that he's been in, and you're able to see his attributes more. You know when he's in shape and stuff, because I think he got a bit leg heavy over the past few seasons, and now he's slimmed down a little bit and he's more agile and more athletic. Therefore, it improves his all-round game, and I think everyone benefits from that, including
I don't know about Divock, right? What I would say about him is, I tweeted about it a couple of days ago. I was like, Divock with fans.
Your verified account, Chris?
From my verified account at Chris Stonadge, if you don't follow me already. But Divock Origi is different with fans because I don't think he feels the pressure the same as everyone else does. I mean, last season we saw he only scored one goal, and that was away at Lincoln City. And this season he's already he's got 5, I think, this season already. He's been just different. I think he has ice in his veins. To quote Pieface, he has ice in his fucking veins, and I love it.
Did we see the suit? I
love him.
Oh, the suit that he was wearing. The suit.
I thought you meant the suit that he did.
Full on
the LFC.
suit, absolute legend.
I love him, but no. To quote Pieface, he's got ice in his veins. I genuinely think he does. And yeah, I think he's different with fans, and for any club in world football, Divock Origi is an asset.
There's very few players that have the composure or the level of composure that Origi does in big moments. Very, very few. He's so calm.
Yeah, and he always gets his praises sung by both Pep Linders and Klopp. Here's one, and look, this is a quick answer. Because he's shite.
No, yeah. With all due respect, thank you for the £1.79. But
yes, Callum, love you, but no.
It might have been the worst £1.79 that you could have spent today. Morata would be a horrible... I'd hate Morata at Liverpool Football Club. There is nothing that intrigues me about that signing whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the experiment at Chelsea, and that failed miserably for Alvaro Morata. He's a strange one, though, Chris, isn't he? Like, there's a player in Alvaro Morata, but I just don't know how to get him out or how somebody could get it. I think so. When he was at Juventus the first time round, he was doing bits there. He was all right,
But that's like saying Origi when he was playing consecutively week to week. When he scored against Dortmund both times, he scored in the derby, then got injured. It's like if you're just going off a period of time where he scored in a few big games and was getting the match, the headlines and stuff. What's Morata done that Origi hasn't, except play a little bit more because he's been a big
Probably
signing.
score a few more goals, but apart from that, like,
but not a major. Not to sell Origi for 20 and buy him for 40, 50.
I'd rather keep Divock.
I think Morata crumbles in big moments. Origi thrives. So
here's a couple of more. There was one here on this one. He is Dortmund bound by the looks of things.
Karim Adeyemi. Who's Adeyemi?
Yeah,
Adeyemi, I'm assuming.
Karim Adeyemi. So,
you smart ass.
Dortmund bound. The stories all week is that he's off to Borussia Dortmund.
Be a great move for him. I've always said that would be a phenomenal move for him. I think when you look at the case study of other strikers and young players in general to go to that team, there's no it doesn't seem like Dortmund buy a player for no reason. And if they see something in you, they're going to try and use you and they're going to try and put you a part of their plans. Now, there's instances where it doesn't work, like Daniel Marlin at the moment, but I'm sure there's still a long-term vision with Haaland on set to leave. Adeyemi knows Haaland will be gone within the next season or two. Adeyemi is still very, very young, and Adeyemi has came from the same team that Haaland went to Dortmund to at this current moment. So if I've always compared it to this, if I'm his agent and I'm giving him advice on his career and what should the next step be, Liverpool, Bayern Munich, Dortmund, Leipzig, all these clubs that are going to be linked with him, go to Dortmund because that's going to be the thing that improves you most. And whether you have a long, successful career there, whether you have as good as a career as Haaland, isn't what we're looking for. We're looking to improve you, and you will be improved by the time you leave.
Chris, anything to add there?
100% agree. I mean, the 5-year contract apparently agreed with Borussia Dortmund came from a very reliable source. I genuinely think it's going to happen, and it genuinely makes sense. I remember you both saying that he's going to go to Germany, and it's genuinely makes sense for him, you know, especially a club like Dortmund or Leipzig. I wouldn't have been surprised if he went to Leipzig either, but I think those two teams are renowned for like improving young players. And if I was a young player, I would be looking to Germany as well. I'd be looking to those two teams to improve me and to make me better. So, yeah, it just genuinely makes sense for Karim Adeyemi to go there and not be sort of a sixth choice at Liverpool.
There's 4 things that I've said as fact since we started this channel. 4 things that I've put my nuts on the table for. Virgil van Dijk signing for Liverpool. Ibrahim Konate signing for Liverpool. Karim Adeyemi ended up in Germany. And what's the third one, or the fourth one, gents?
Fuck knows. Oh, Jude Bellingham.
Yeah, I wish I was on your train, Craig.
I'm telling you, as a matter of fact, that this will happen. I'm telling you. I'm not doing if ands or buts here, or if ands or maybes. We don't do them, James, do we? We only do absolutes.
We only do absolutes on this channel. But
I got dogs abuse over Van Dijk. I got dogs abuse over Konate, and I was fucking right both times.
Yeah, but I think Bellingham's different in terms of the circumstances.
I'm not saying it's happening in January or next summer, but I'm saying when he leaves Borussia Dortmund, his next destination will be Liverpool Football Club. I'm saying as a matter of fact.
How can you predict the future though, Craig? I know you've got magical powers in that beautiful head of yours, but I don't know how you can foresee anything changing between now and the time that destination is made. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, anything can change.
I have to be careful what I say. Put it this way, I've been told enough to believe what I've been told from the people that I've been told that
Craig's
this is
an
the
ITK. Craig is an ITK, everyone. Craig's the new grid
I haven't got anything wrong yet.
Let's hope that this is an elite sauce. Let's hope it's not some barbecue sauce that you found in Mackey's where you can just pick it up for free.
Craig has been told
if I was to give you my phone now and say, look through the phone book, you'd be pleasantly surprised at some of the names scrolling through that I have WhatsApp conversations with. I just keep them to myself because if I start talking, I never get any information from these people again. Particularly, I've always said a couple of things. And again, people go back through all my videos. I've said 2 things. I have no sources in England, none, zip, nada. But I do have sources in Germany and I have sources in Spain. They're the only 2 things I've ever said. And I will say there are people far better placed than me to talk about England. But Germany and Spain, I have plenty of friends.
Yeah.
He knows people.
I really hope you're right, Craig. I really genuinely hope you're right. But I
hope these people are right. I hope this substance.
I don't know when it happens. And I look at this and I see everyone's doubt and I understand why. Because I question myself where we're going to come up with this Spondulics to make this happen. I do. Of course I do. I'm not an idiot. I look at the owners and I look at our history and I look at the way we funded transfers, and I probably will admit that there may be an unpalatable decision or two coming down the line for us fans. I mean, look, let's look at it this way. So there was another part of the research for today's stream. I just want to pull something up here. 1 second.
Here's where Jude Bellingham signs when he's 37, and Craig's like, "Told you, you fucks!" he'll have been retired from YouTube for a few years and everything, but he'll still come out of the blue in like a few years' time, be like, "Ha ha! Told you to went wrong, motherfuckers."
Like 65.
Jude Bellingham there with grey hair.
He's like, yeah, you know what, mate? I told you so.
He signs as the assistant coach when he's 50.
When did I become a coachy, by the way? I mean, that's not a Dublin accent, mate. That sounds like a Hollywood effort at doing an Irish accent, because they always go Nordy or coachy. They never go Dublin.
I told you so.
So, sure, look at me looking at yeah, so there was something put out there today again in the media which stated that none of the front three outside. Well, they actually went and said that outside of Diogo Jota, none of the front three futures at Liverpool at this moment in time are concrete. And that is true, however we look at it, because we want a new Salah deal, but there's been absolutely nada on a Mane or Firmino deal, which worries the shit out of me.
No, of course, it just depends. It depends how you perceive these transfers, isn't it? It depends how you perceive, or your opinion on what should be the next move for Firmino or Mane, and who will be the ones to replace them, and will they be good enough to replace them? Because I feel like a lot of people have got the assumption Mane is on the other side of that hill, and whether you agree or disagree, there is certainly some. I suppose there's some points that could back up that argument. Same with Firmino in many, many ways. But I think the one that is most likely to leave in terms... and this is just a prediction, it's not a spoiler by any means, but I think Mane is the one that we've got to be worried about more than anyone. Salah. FSG are stupid. So dumb, and they've made countless decisions that have made me question their intelligence on numerous occasions. But even someone as stupid as that, I can really, really not go ahead and think that they're going to not give Salah a new contract. I really, really don't. I think they're waiting for the perfect time to really jump on it. And now is just not that time. Firmino is someone, stylistically, will probably be a better asset to the club going forward than what Mane would. Just because of his style of play. Doesn't require pace, doesn't need any explosiveness. He's just always been a very technical player who can read the game. So you're probably going to get more longevity out of him. And then you've got Mane, who... still quick, still explosive, still boss, but he's not the same Mane as what he was showing to be when he first joined the club. And even I can admit that. Doesn't mean he's shit. I still think he's world class and one of the best wingers in world football. That being said, right now, he's not as good as he once was. Therefore, you've got to think about that. So, even though I'd keep Mane, I can understand why people would let him go. And I think he's the one who's most likely to leave.
Just to reiterate for everyone, because I was asked this a couple of times yesterday as well, and Chris, you can back me up on this, and James as well. All the old front three, so everyone outside of Diogo Jota, their contract ends at the end of next season. So technically, at the end of this season, they're going into their final year. So something has to give, Chris.
Yeah, and I think that one who has to... I still think all three of them will sign contracts, but I think one of them will be sold, and I think that one will be Mane.
I don't think he signed a new deal.
Do you not think? Do you not think he'll sign a new deal?
But if the club plan on getting rid of him, he's on a meagre wage compared to the others.
But then, Craig, the plan... I'm almost certain the club knew they were getting rid of Coutinho, and they gave him a 5-year contract.
He was stupid.
Don't forget as well, in the summer we had about 11 players on a 2-year deal and then sorted them all. Like Verge. Who was it? Verge, Robbo, Trent. Like there was a few players in the summer that we re-signed.
Mane's on, what is it, $100,000 a week, give or take?
I don't think he cares about money though, Craig.
No, there's a point to what I'm saying. He's on $100,000 a week. The club paid mid-30s for Sadio, something like that, when we bought him from Southampton. Now, if you look at it, with 1 year left on his contract, you're going to get that money back for Sadio no matter what, even if he runs it down to 1 year.
I agree, but I do think we get more if we give him a new contract. I think the
fact is you're leaving out one mega part of giving him a new contract, which is his loyalty bonus, the loyalty bonuses.
I agree. I 100% agree. I just think with the club's track record, it wouldn't surprise me if we gave like a new 4-year deal and sold him within the first year. Like the Ben Davis deal is the one that screams to me. Like we gave Ben Davis a 5-year contract, lads. Like
yeah, but we're not comparing Sadio with Ben Davies or Davies.
Yeah,
like Sadio would be well
Not a
pissed
player.
off, and so would other players at the club if they seen that the club only extended the contract by a year with every intention of flogging them. The only time I've ever actually seen that happen
That's how
was
it is.
Werner, but he felt some loyalty to Leipzig.
It's how it is, unfortunately. And I think.
But why would Mane sign it? That's my point. He's gonna know. He's gonna have a gut feeling what's going on. He's not.
Maybe.
I
Might
think
wanna
he
win
deserves
another
to be
trophy.
treated better. I think he deserves some honesty. If he's going to be the one that's moved on, I'd like to think that there's an honest conversation to be had there. I don't see Jurgen backing that type of decision making for somebody who he knows he doesn't want.
Possibly,
If he doesn't
but you
want
don't
them, by
know-
the way, it's all hypothetical.
You don't know Mane's mindset in this instance. He might want to stay and win another trophy with Liverpool. He might want to add to this
Which is
collection,
sound. And if he stays,
which
he
is
stays.
brilliant.
But he's not going to sign on for a 4-year deal if there's any indication that he's going to be shipped off in a year.
It's such
Maybe.
a difficult one.
Maybe.
Why would he do? He's going to get less money.
But at the
get
same
less
time,
Less money
the way that you promote this to him is you can earn your spot back in this team over the next 4 seasons. Because whatever we think about Mane being finished, or if we think he's going to be finished by that point,
He's not.
Mane doesn't think that.
No,
Mane
I
doesn't
think you're
believe
picking
that
me up
himself.
wrong. So you're Sadio Mane's agent. We played earlier on.
Yeah.
You were Adeyemi's agent. Now you're.
I like
Sadio's
being people's
agent.
agents.
So you're Sadio's agent. You go in
Yeah.
to negotiate this, and you've got an inkling that the club are doing this because they want to protect his value and flog him off for a bigger profit in a year's time.
But if Mane's performing well, then we won't sell him because he'll be playing well. And that's how you promote it to Sadio. Regardless of whatever inclination, if you're playing good football, we're obviously not going to sell you. Does that make sense? So if Mane believes in his own abilities, maybe he's going to sign that contract. Because there's no guarantee that we are definitely going to sell him. Because if he's scoring 15, 20 goals a season, there's going to be very few wingers who can replace that. Therefore, there could be a chance of him staying. Not everything can be... If he is done, then we better just sell him. But if the way you promote it to Mane is you can still have a chance. You've just got to make sure you're performing week in, week out.
All I say is Jordan Henderson signed a 4-year contract. And I'll tell you what now, Jordan Henderson will not be a regular footballer for Liverpool in 4 years. Okay?
No, he won't. Absolutely.
There is not a flying chance in hell that he will be.
It's a good point.
Like,
But
however...
he's far more of a leader to that dressing room, far more of a figurehead for the club.
However, though, like Mane is still a very iconic figure for Liverpool, and I think you say to him, "Look, you can be one of the changes of this team. When Jurgen Klopp leaves, you can be one of the ones to help tide it over." I think Sadio Mane is the kind of guy, from what I vibe from him, I think he's the kind of guy that would be accepting of a role like that, and I think he's good enough to be like that. I think he's good enough to play in different roles. I think he will be good enough in 4 years' time, personally, to still be.
Me too, I agree.
He 100% wants to be the main man. I've no doubt in my mind he wants to be the main man.
So sign the contract, show some big bollocks. Don't hide away, don't get to an easier club.
That we've glossed over again. So we signed the contract, but we're still buying another forward no matter what happens, whether it be January or in the summer. So we're bringing in another forward. So he's automatically seen now. We've got a younger Jota. We've got Salah, who's the number one. We've got Bobby Firmino and this other forward. And you're getting on in years.
Football is a squad game now, Craig.
If you're still good enough for footy, you'll be above them. No matter how young Jota or Doku or anyone is, you'll be in the squad at that point. If you're still good enough, the cream will always rise to the top. And so Mane, if he performs over the next 3 seasons... What?
Why is Genie Wijnaldum playing for PSG then?
He's not.
Because he wanted money.
That's not really what happened, though.
How was that not what happened?
He was badly treated by FSG.
He was badly treated, and he should have been paid more at his
But
time here. I still don't see the point, the relevance in the point, though, Craig, because
he's good at footy. We're talking about money. We're saying money's not everything. We're saying if you're good enough to prove.
But we're talking about two different people. We're talking about two different people.
Do you want me to bring up the interview of Sadio Mane telling a kid that he was staying at Southampton when he knew he was going to Liverpool?
It doesn't matter. It really does not matter. Circumstances change, and he definitely can leave. I'm just giving you my prediction. But even these points, Genie Wijnaldum in a video of when he was at Southampton, it really is irrelevant.
No, Sadio.
Oh, sorry, Sadio. Yeah, Sadio. That's, like I actually meant to say Sadio, but yeah, it's still irrelevant to me. I don't
There's
see
no way
anybody in
hell that FSG sanctioned 3-4 year contracts for
maybe they don't.
29-year-old forwards.
Yeah, but
maybe they don't. But if he signs a 1 year deal, If he signs a 1 year deal and it does boss, then they will give him a new contract.
No
because
one thought they'd sanction a 4-year deal for Henderson.
I did.
Did you? Because I genuinely thought they'd get a 1 year rolling contract for him because he's over 30. That's usually what they did. I don't know whether their mould is changing because the world of football is changing. But I think Mane gets a new contract. And as James said, I think it's there for him to prove himself, whether he is good enough. If not, he will be sold. And I don't think that's as deep.
Mane gets a new contract. Let's say you guys are right. Mane gets a new contract. Hopefully Bobby gets a new contract because I think we all agree there's still legs there for Bobby as well. Obviously, we hope Mo gets a new contract because he's absolutely amazing. So at what point then do we start to refresh the squad? At what point? So are you saying the option here is to go out and get the Jeremy Doku and get him to learn from Sadio and to be the successor to Sadio in 2 or 3 years' time?
Chris, can I intercept before you answer that question just very, very fast?
Yeah.
So the way you do it is you buy in a Jeremy Doku if you so wish. If that is your target, go ahead and pay the price, pay the money. But he's not going to be a guaranteed first-team starter in what is a Liverpool title-winning side, Champions League winning side, and competes every single season. No big club in world football are you guaranteed first-team football when you're a player of Doku's calibre. When you're a player of Mane's calibre, it's for you and only you to be able to keep yourself on that pedestal until you get knocked off that pedestal, which, by the way, I don't believe Mane feels he will. You're still a first-team player. Same way for Salah. The same works with everyone, whether we buy a Rafinha, that's competition for Salah. Jota, that's competition for Firmino. But if you believe you're good enough, then why wouldn't he sign the contract?
And I think if you look at Manchester City, and I base Manchester City as the main thing for any club in football to look at right now. I know they've got tons of more money than us, but they've got 6 world-class forwards. Like they have 6 world-class forwards to choose from. And we have 4. Like I genuinely think we could have 5 or maybe 6 in the future as we develop financially. Look, what I don't know why we can't have a Mane, Salah, Firmino, Jota plus a Bowen or a Doku or a Rafinha.
S.
I don't know why.
I wonder what the last one is. But even with the video that you brought up before, Craig, about Mane at Southampton, he's not going to say to the kids, "Oh yeah, I'm leaving," if the deal's not done and he's being filmed.
If it's on like a Southampton channel.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Even if it was just meeting fans outside, why are you going to say yeah?
All that we're doing here is letting the squad age.
We are, but if Mane's still good enough, then why let him go? Same with Salah. Why are we going to let Salah go?
Let me rewind it back a little bit. Are we agreed that it's very unlikely Jurgen Klopp's going to be given 100 million quid to go out there and spend in the transfer window in one go?
Yeah, I agree.
Are we agreed that the only way we get significant funds for Jurgen Klopp to strengthen is to sell?
Of course.
Yeah. So, how do we
strengthen?
What? You've just tied everybody down to
I don't think
you strengthen with other assets you've got within the squad.
I don't think you
can look at Joe Gomez as an asset. You can look at a few of those midfielders. Curtis Jones, there's no guarantee he's going to be a first-team player in season's time.
So you're selling Curtis Jones to keep?
No, I've just said there's no guarantee. There's options there. Not everyone is going to be a first-team player.
If there was an option,
there is. Not everyone's going to be a first-team player. Craig, you're not getting what I'm saying. Curtis Jones won't be a first-team player along with Harvey Elliott, along with Tyler Morton, along with whoever else we sign in between now and then. Liverpool don't buy big anyway. We've never bought big. We got to the Premier League title and Champions League by not buying big. So at that point, if Mane is good enough, which I'm saying off his own assumption,
75 million and 70 million.
After selling Coutinho?
Exactly. Proving my point.
I do not think...
How does that prove your point?
Point for me. We won the Champions League because we sold somebody.
I don't know what assumption you've got of how that proves your point, Craig, but with all due respect, I don't think it's us.
You just said...
You're just ignoring my points.
Chris, stop. Hang on. You just said we won the Champions League...
Yes.
By selling Coutinho to fund the 2 players that helped us win the Champions League.
Well, there was more than just 2 players.
Redoing it, selling fringe players.
No 2 periods have to be the same. And plus, we're a better team now than what we was before we bought Virgil van Dijk and Alisson. We don't have to buy them again.
How does that play into the fact that we're rebuilding the squad by selling Curtis Jones?
Because we're in a very fortunate squad. We're in a very fortunate position where we've got depth.
We do not sign a player who has the output of Sadio Mane for the fee that we get Sadio Mane for. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There is no.
You would have
there is
said
no
that before we signed Sadio Mane, Chris. None of us would have thought Sadio Mane, Diogo Jota, Mohamed Salah were going to do
The
what
times
they've done.
change. The times
That's
change.
the
You keep
beauty
going off
and
the past.
genius of the recruitment team.
You can't just go off the past though, Craig. You've got to go off what they've done since then. Times change, opinions change.
We've done nothing since then. We haven't signed anyone. Nobody
Since
of
we bought
note
Mane.
except for Diogo Jota, really.
Since we bought Mane.
No, since we brought in the lads that won us the Champions League, the big transfers. The only time we splurged money is when we sold Coutinho.
But still before that, Firmino was a piece of
million
that.
in the January in the window last season.
We did spend 70 million.
We spent 70 million on Jota and
Net?
Thiago.
Net?
Well, yeah, but look,
We spent 35
Yeah, but what was the...
net.
Now you've just proven my point because you tried to use that against me, but what about Coutinho when he left and then we brought in Van Dijk and Alisson? That's still net. How much was that net?
What do you mean by how much was it? My point at the
Because
very
you just
start
asked
of this
Chris.
conversation. My point at the very, very start of this conversation was that we sell one of the front three to refresh the squad. That was my point, and you guys were like, "No, 4-year contracts all around."
But Jota's
Bring in
proven you
Jeremy
wrong
Doku.
already. Jota's proven you wrong already because he's already come in and proven that he can test the front three without having to sell the front three first. Get someone who can
So
push
we'll go
them
back
first
to
before you
Chris's
make such a
point.
rash decision.
Who are you going to bring in that's going to give you the output that Sadio Mane did? You've just, again, proven my point for me. We brought Diogo Jota in.
That's the thing. That's the thing because
Yeah, but the point still stays the same.
We have to recruit so carefully after we sell a Mane or sell a Firmino because no one at this present moment reproduces the output that either of those do for the money that we would get for them. So that's where the issue of FSG comes in, and are they willing to put their hands in their pocket? And that's where we have to
pay homage to the recruitment team for the amazing scouting that they do, because they spotted what we didn't see as fans. They spotted the Mohamed Salah, they spotted the Diogo Jota. Because I mean, look, in all fairness, we'll all sit here and agree, none of us had thought of Diogo Jota's name before he came.
I actually did. I have a proof of a tweet. I have a proof.
Fair play. No, if you did, Chris, fair play. But I know
Not very few though, Chris.
that's why you're verified and we aren't, Chris. Do you know what I mean? Actual journalism versus just
I said after the Wolves game at Anfield in December 2019, or it might have been January 2020, that we should sign Jota, and it happened. And you know what,
Chris, get in that recruit. Julian Ward's first signing.
Julian Ward's after me, mate.
Gents, I want to shake it up a little bit here, if I may, for a minute. And by the way, I love these debates we get into. I think it's brilliant. I love hearing other opinions expressed and challenged. So well played, both of you. That was top notch. Let's talk about this. So Al Ali are lobbying the African football's governing body to move the AFCON to start on January the 3rd to help their prospects at the Club World Cup. This would mean Liverpool would be without Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, Naby Keita for the Chelsea game on January the 2nd. Egypt's national team have already received a request from Liverpool for Salah to play for the Chelsea game. They're yet to give an answer. Now, here's my point on this, gents. Our manager, Jurgen Norbert Klopp, was insulted by the Senegal manager for disrespecting African football. Yet here we clearly have one club wanting an entire continent's competition to be moved so they could have a better chance in the Club World Cup. Now, James, my man, I put it to you, sir, that is far more disrespectful to the continent of Africa and that prestigious tournament than anything Jurgen Norbert Klopp has said.
Of course, but that's just because Klopp's statements was misread and put in the headlines wrong, and that's what they've read, and that's the way the world works. You read a headline, and that's exactly what he said, apparently without even trying to find any context. So this is just the world that we live in. Klopp gets misquoted quite a lot in the media. I can always see an attempt to try and paint Klopp as the bad guy because he is very much, he's not a media man, doesn't really want to make any friends within the media, doesn't want to give you big interviews like the Jose Mourinho's and give you big views clips like the Jose Mourinho's will. He's very much just, his best interest is Liverpool and his own team. But that's the same with everybody. So now, while this club from this country has came out and said we want to keep our players without having to let them go to the AFCON to give us a better chance in the Club World Cup.
They want to move the whole fucking tournament, mate.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah. So move it, delay it, whatever. It doesn't matter. They're still trying to do it for their own benefit. Like Jurgen Klopp said, it's for our benefit if we could keep Mane and Salah. But people always misquote it.
Imagine, Chris, and I was saying this to you before we started. Imagine Ajax went to UEFA and said, you know the Euros that are happening in less than a month's time, and you know all those hundreds of thousands of people who've booked travel and are coming over and booked hotels, and teams who have booked hotels and food that has to be sorted and vaccination statuses and all of this stuff. Well, we want you to move that entire tournament by a week just so we can have a chance in another competition. It is ludicrous.
It's quite rich, isn't it? It's unbelievable. I mean, what this makes me think of is the Club World Cup from a couple of years ago after we won the league, and we weren't allowed to move our Carabao Cup game until another time, so we had to play 2 games in 2 days. It's just so ridiculous, isn't it? The way they're talking about it, and the stuff with Jurgen about it, the little tournament, it's just a turn of phrase, isn't it? And people overreacted so much. It speaks so much about the reaction of social media nowadays and the way that people react to just one word misplaced out of some context. It's mental. But look, AFCON won't be moved. It won't happen.
James was spot on. I mean, there was no context to what the reporter read out in that time. Anybody whose native tongue is English would know that there was sarcasm in what he said. It was clearly evident there was sarcasm, but it's a good example of how stuff can be misinterpreted in the written word instead of the spoken word. So, yeah. On that one, gents, next game up, Newcastle, Thursday. I think we're going to give him a kicking, James. And I mean, I think this could be 4-5-0.
Let's hope so, because the past few games, which by the way I don't think is a bad thing, that we've won these last 2 games scrappy. I like that we've shown we can win them scrappy. You're not going to be able to score 4 or 5 every week. It's very, very unrealistic, and to expect that throughout the whole season, with players going out, injuries here and there, very, very, very unrealistic. So, it's about making sure you get through those games, and people are talking about Liverpool's defence this season like it's some bad thing. We've conceded 1 more goal than Chelsea, who have apparently had the best defence in the world for God knows how many months. And on top of that, I believe we've had the most clean sheets to this point of the season since Klopp came in. So, which actually says statistically that this is the best defence we've had since Jurgen Klopp took over. We've had games where we've lost our heads, and they were the exact words I used after those games. The players just lost their heads. It's not because of the shit. It's not because of the manager. It was just the players just dropped. But that is why I always took a lot of substance with the words that Klopp said in the summer when he did say, we're going to build into this season. We're not just going to be gung-ho straight away. And that's what it seemed like we was, but we can actually get better. So, in this instance, there is going to be games where you drop 1 or 2 goals, and it might be a 1-0 scrappy win, 2-1. But the most important thing is getting that result. And the most important thing against Newcastle, because if we draw against them, the result against Aston Villa doesn't matter. Same with Wolves. It just doesn't matter. You've got to win these games. These are the must-wins. So, whether you win 1-0, 2-0, or 5-0, get the job done. But I agree with you, Craig. I think stylistically this just goes into our favour, and Newcastle haven't really shown a big turn since Eddie Howe came in, so I don't really worry about them.
I think that's fair. I mean, I can't see any way, Chris, that they get at us. I can't. I mean, look, yes, they have a Maximan. Yes, Callum Wilson knows where the goal is, but every department around that pitch and the way we're playing, because I know we struggle to break down a very good defensive unit in Aston Villa, and they defended for their lives. They defended deep. Mings was heading everything that went to the box, but we still got the job done. We still looked well doing it, and we still played some really good football. So I think we're just in a good place, mate, and it's going to take one hell of a performance to beat us.
I heard James say that we won those 2 games scrappily. I don't think we did. A scrappy 1-0 win for me is somewhere where we didn't really deserve it, but we got a nick to goal.
Courage.
Exactly that. We battered Wolves and we battered Aston Villa. We could have scored 4 or 5 in that last 20 minutes against Villa, but we didn't, and we should have scored. I mean, that Jota chance against Wolves is the only way. I have absolutely no qualms about this Newcastle game on Thursday. I cannot wait for it. It's going to be. I think it's going to be an absolute battering. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be 4 or 5, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, I feel like that as well. I just feel like we're playing well. I mean, the 1-0 wins are great. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'll take them every day of the week. Premier League titles are won off the back of clean sheets and 1-0 wins many, many times. But I just look at this Liverpool unit now, and even with changes in games, I say we can probably allow 2 changes a game, and the system still wins out because the system is a thing of beauty, and every player is well versed.
Absolutely. We've just. I just think the way that we're playing at the moment is the best we've actually seen under Jurgen. it's crazy the way that we can score goals. And even I think in a couple of months ago when we were scoring 4 or 5 every game, or even a month ago, really scoring 4 or 5 every game, we batter Wolves and Villa by much more than what we did.
Except United, because we battered them by 10.
We absolutely destroyed them, and I think we should have scored more there as well. Like the way that we're playing and the way that we were playing, and we still are playing that way. So, look, it's going to be terrible for Newcastle. They're going down unless they invest like a lot in January, and I think they will do. I think they will do. And I think Eddie Howe is probably the man.
They only need to sign Nat Phillips. That's it. They're safe
for 30 million. I think they will do, and it's an unpopular opinion, but I do think Eddie Howe is the man to get them out of the mess. So, you know,
Nat Phillips will end up their best defender and top goal scorer within the 6 months if you let him have a move in January.
I hope he ends up, if he goes somewhere, James, at West Ham. I think they'd love him, the West Ham fans. I think they'd absolutely love him.
I agree. I just think he's a very old school, gritty footballer, gonna get stuck in, gonna win every header, not gonna give a fuck. What?
See, I tell you what, I think he's a better footballer than people give him credit for.
Oh no, I'm not disputing that, but I mean,
did you see some of those pings the other day, mate?
No, he is
insane.
James is to Nat Phillips what you are to Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. James absolutely adores Nat Phillips.
I've always, Craig, what did I say to you the other day? That we were underestimating his ball ability, not even just because of the skill move that he's done that wiped out Ibrahimovic, but he steps up to the occasion every single time. Every single time we talk about a player who's composed in big moments, and Nathaniel Deeney Van Phillips is that. If you want someone who's going to be in that back line on the last day of the season when you're fighting for relegation, Nat Phillips is the one who's going to get you over that line. If you're on the last day fighting for Europa League spot and you're playing for West Ham, Nat Phillips is someone you probably want in the back line. Therefore, believe me, Chris, when I tell you this, I rate Nat Phillips in all aspects. I think he's a very underrated player. I believe he should have been in the Ballon d'Or top 50. I believe that I think he was brilliant. In terms of the impact out of everyone and what they had last season, I don't think anyone, including Salah, including Trent, who at the end had a good little spell, including anyone, Reece Williams, Kabak, Nat Phillips had the biggest impact for me for us getting top 4.
Here's one for you. Will you be watching Dive Hard this Christmas with Salah? No, Scott, I'll be watching Dive Harder with Mo Salah this Christmas.
I won't be watching Christmas films because I don't watch films.
And by the way, that was genius what Mohamed Salah did in that moment, because he put himself going across the front of Mings saying, 2 things are going to happen here, mate. You're either going to bring me down or I'm either going to get in on goal and get an angle for a shot or a cross. And there was absolutely nothing that Mings could do about it. It was a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
And it was 100% penalty as well. No dives there, mate. That was 100% penalty.
There's been a lot of softer penalties in this world. Including Rudiger's one at Chelsea, by the way.
That was the penalty City got for handball was an absolute farce.
It's mental, wasn't it? That was just a stonewall penalty. I don't know what Stevie was moaning about at the end. I love Stevie, and I know he's trying to show the commitment to Villa, but it was just stonewall. Mings had his hands all over Salah.
Was Gerrard trying to say it weren't a penalty?
Yeah, he said at the end of the game, he was like, "Oh yeah, it was softer."
And he thought they should have had one.
The Ings and Watkins.
I never saw the. Is it one where Alisson came out? Is that what they're trying to say? Did Alisson get the ball?
He didn't, but it was so soft.
So who gives a fuck about that incident? Mings never.
There's 2 things about that incident. One, everybody that loves to say it should have been an Ings penalty is forgetting that Ings pushed Matip into Alisson. So that's part 1. So that's a foul. Secondly, and it was shown, I didn't think he did get the ball till last night, till I watched Match of the Day, and they showed a freeze frame of Alisson's hand brushing the ball.
From my angle in Anfield Road end, which gave me the perfect angle to see Alisson's arm reach around and touch the ball, it looked like he got the ball. Which is why when I went out to the stadium after the game and everyone's talking about this fucking complaint of they should have had a penalty, I couldn't think of an instance in the game, which is why I had to ask.
Yeah, I mean, everybody loves to leave out the part where Danny Ings pushes the defender into the keeper.
A foul before the foul, yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't suit the narrative. Like, that doesn't happen. I have a question for you, Mr. Redmond. And I'm very jealous. Let me start off by saying I'm very jealous. What's it been like, and I'm looking forward to this in January, to see Thiago Alcantara just being fucking brilliant?
It's a relief off the shoulders of everyone who I was telling that. If you think Thiago doesn't fit this system, you just don't know football. You don't know football. He improves this system. He weren't what we had before. He's not like any other player, or no player was like him that we had previously. He brings something different. He runs the game defensively. He pulls the strings. He chips in with a goal every now and then. When Thiago is on top form, I find very few midfielders in the world who can replicate what he does. He is absolutely sensational week in, week out. And one goal that we've conceded, I think, in the 7 games he started this season. In the games that he hasn't started, we've conceded like 6 or 7, which is ludicrous. So it just goes to show how much we like to talk about Fabinho and his defensive contribution. Thiago has a huge defensive contribution, especially at the end of that game against Aston Villa, where he was winning tackle after tackle after tackle, and it was brilliant to see. He gets stuck in, and he's also a flashy player, best of both worlds.
I think with Thiago, right, his defensive contribution comes from keeping the ball. He is just so...
But he even wins tackles.
He does, well. Right? He does, but I think that the big thing from him is
that's his main attribute, passing the ball, of course.
Completely contributes in that way. He can dictate play, he can win tackles, he can do everything. I think he's a complete midfielder, in my humble opinion. And you know what? We're so lucky to have him at this moment in time because, you know, we've only seen him at Bayern Munich and Barcelona in their prime moments. We've got him at Liverpool now. I think if he doesn't win a league title at Liverpool, it'll be heartbreaking because he is that good, and he has proven that over this season.
He plays right on the edge. I mean, he sees passing channels that other people don't see. And yes, in the way that he plays, occasionally the ball will be given away, and that's just that's just a fact. We're going to have to get used to that. But on the half turn and on when you think he's being closed down, I've never seen somebody with the ability to take a half step and move the ball as quickly as he does. It is beautiful to watch.
It just is. I think another one that does it, and he doesn't get the credit for it, is Mane. I've never seen a player move so quickly from one step to another. He did it to Matty Cash yesterday, and it was just like he was within one.
I thought Mane was brilliant against Villa, by the way.
Within 1 foot of him, and then he went whoop, and he's gone. He's gone, and Cash could do nothing but bring him down. The two of them are just excellent footballers. Thiago, especially with the way that he presents the ball, is just magnificent. He controls.
To finish up, gents, and James, you might have noticed this from all the times you go to the game. One quick question was here for you, actually, James, before I move on to this. And I want to get on to this last couple of minutes here. But what's your favourite part of Anfield to sit in for a game?
Cop end.
Do you think?
By far. Yeah. Doesn't shut the fuck up. Great atmosphere. Heart of the stadium. I just
this season,
not for comfy, but honestly,
this season I've been in both parts of the ground. I thought Anfield Road End was better atmosphere. Controversial opinion.
It could be a controversial opinion. I don't know. I know that the Cop End sings more. That's a fact, but sometimes maybe Anfield Road might get a bit louder. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I used to love the paddock when I went to Anfield before they redid the King Kenny stand. I used to love the old paddock, you know. Yeah, it was fucking brilliant. But look, anyway, we move on. The last thing I want to talk about is I don't know if this is a new thing or not, but there's a great piece written about it on The Athletic again. Many great pieces on The Athletic about the underlapping run that we're utilising a lot with Robbo. So rather than going around the outside of Mane, he goes for the more difficult option, which is arcing his run inside. But if you get the pass to him, the opportunities open up, the idea of a cutback and stuff. It was a great piece. I won't do it any justice, but I just want to see if you guys noticed this this season, that
I've seen a change in Robbo's game. More inverted runs and stuff like that. Robbo's been brilliant in his last 2 games. Villa, Southampton is another game where he really stood out for me. Honestly, Robertson. Then this is why I say competition's always a good thing. You know, competition in the squad is never a bad thing. Tsimikas pushing Robertson is brilliant because it brings the best out of Robertson, and it also allows us to try different things. And we can try Tsimikas in this, and maybe that could work for Robbo as well. And it just brings a whole different thinking process. It makes you search in a different part of your brain for options and solutions to what can make you better. I think everyone this season is better than what he was last season. Everybody. Can't think of one player that's dropped off. So I think that goes to show with the multiple changes, not just that one that we've made continuously, and we're still not done making those changes. We're still improving.
Yeah, I've learned a lot of stuff, Chris, over the last 12 months from reading up on The Athletic about, half spaces and underlapping runs. And It's great. I think all of us should always be open to taking on new things, learning new things, and seeing the game evolve and seeing the patterns of play. It's fascinating.
Absolutely. I really highly recommend a subscription to The Athletic, and I mean a watch of our boot rooms on LFC Transfer Room. We've got a professional coach talking about underlapping runs as well. So it's honestly, it's so fascinating because as soon as you know about it, you see things. I mean, I have a mate who's a builder, and he said as soon as he became a builder, he started analysing building sites. And I think it's the same football because you see certain things and you're like, oh, actually, I know about that. And that's how it is. The Robertson thing, I think last game, he was just endlessly up and down, whether it be inside, outside, educating his runs on where Mane was going. It's really fascinating. And you know what? Robertson last few games, as James mentioned, absolutely incredible. Absolutely brilliant, honestly.
Gents, we've gotten to the hour, and my God, we've done a lot in. Brilliant. I love that. I love it. We're getting into a rhythm. I feel it. We're getting used to each other. We're testing each other, and that's what I love as well. This shouldn't be a cushy loving where we all agree with each other. They're bullshit channels. We want people challenging opinions because that's how we're going to learn different things. That's how we're going to see other perspectives. And you, gents, played an absolute blinder tonight. So thank you very much to Mr. Chris Stonadge, to Mr. James Redmond, of course, to our sponsors, Manscaped.com. We will see you guys really soon. Don't forget to get over to Twitch, give us a follow on there as well. Check out LFC Transfer Room where you'll see more of Chris and the lads, and check out the brilliant, the fantastic, the unmistakable Mr. James Redmond TV as well.
Thank you very much, Craig. Absolute legends and a pleasure as always. Be sure to smash a like and subscribe to Anfield Agenda.
We will be live tomorrow, probably at 6 with a reaction to the Champions League draw because look, I won't lie, I'll be fast asleep. Fast asleep. I'll chat to you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.